皆さんこんにちは。国際言語学科3年のレナと
カイリです。それでは国際交流センターに新しく来た先生がいるので早速行ってみましょう。
はい、行ってみましょう。
Good afternoon, Mr. Alan.
Hello.
I want to interview to you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you. The first, what's your name?
My name's Alan Walsham.
Thank you. How old are you?
I'm 55.
55. Oh,
Yeah.
Very generous.
Old guy.
15?
Smart Alex. Oh, really? I'm glad not your grandfather. Okay.
And where are you from?
I was born in the United States.
United States
Yeah.
of America.
Right.
Very good. What's your favorite? Oh, sorry.
Where is place in USA?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was born in Illinois, which is kind of in the middle of America, sort of countryside a little bit. But I moved to many times. So I lived in Michigan and Texas and Washington State and Indiana and Colorado also. Several years in each place. So I lived a lot of places.
Parents joke?
Oh, no, there's no relation really. My father was a businessman for many years, but he became a college professor and moved to Michigan. But my parents are much older than I am. I was born when my parents were in their 40s. So then they retired when I was still young, and that's why they moved to Texas. But I like to move to different places.
Oh, really? Alright, next, what's your favorite hobby?
Yes, that's another good question. I like media a lot, but all kinds. So I really like reading books, novels, and history, nonfiction.
You know reading.
This is a Japanese grammar book, yeah. But I also am really interested in music. So when I was young, I was crazy about rock music, and then I became crazy about jazz music, and now I really love classical.
What's your favorite Japanese food?
Oh. Yeah, that's a really good question. I like a lot of different kinds. There's no one thing that's my favorite. My favorite style of eating is like izakaya eating, where you order different kinds of food and it's different every time. So I really like that a lot. But I like meats. I like sushi and sashimi a lot.
Do you like raw food?
Yeah, it's sashimi and. So that's raw food, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah. When I
What's
was
your favorite sightseeing spot in Taiwan?
in Taiwan.
Yes.
Oh, there's in the middle of Taiwan. There's a place called Sun Moon Lake. So it's a lake in the mountains, and very beautiful.
Is it north of Taiwan?
It's sort of in the middle. Yeah, right. In the north, the Taipei area, but this is kind of in central Taiwan. Yeah, so Taiwan, the middle is all mountains, so it's right in the heart of that.
When you go to Taiwan?
When did I go there first?
Yeah.
I moved to Taiwan in like 2004, I think. 2003, maybe? Yeah, so I moved there. I was going to just visit. My plan was to stay in Taiwan for maybe 1 year and study Chinese and then come back to Japan. I lived in Japan before and liked it a lot. But while I was there, I met my wife, and then everything changed. So we got married and we had children quickly, and so then it became very difficult to leave because we had the small kids. And my wife has her family there to help. So I ended up living in Taiwan 17 years, which frankly I didn't ever want to do.
Can you speak Chinese? How much Chinese can you speak?
Not very much. I could speak for daily Chinese. I was okay when I lived in Taiwan in simple conversation. But I have a problem. I mix Japanese and Chinese when I speak after I got here. So now I try not to speak any Chinese, or I get confused and I go back and forth. So I try not to speak Chinese now. Otherwise, I get I have big problems.
Which is better to speak Japanese or Chinese?
Well, That's a good question. Chinese grammar is more similar to English grammar, and it's not as complicated. However, I didn't begin to learn Chinese till I was like 36. And so I was too old to learn the tones. Mandarin Chinese has the 4 tones. If you learn young, you understand that quickly and you're okay, but I started too late, so I could never hear the tones or speak them correctly. So my Chinese are always terrible. It never got very good. So for that reason, Japanese seems easier. But Japanese has more difficult grammar, and of course, the kanji are so complicated because of the many different readings. In Chinese, I knew many more Chinese characters than in Japan. But in a way, it's easier because each one there's only one reading, usually one reading, so it's not so bad. You know? But in Japan, you never know how to pronounce it. It's always different, you know. So.
Right. Okay, how many people are there in your family?
Oh, that's a tricky question because there's 2 families, right? I have my wife and 3 children, so there's 5 people in my present family. But then if you mean my family I come from, I have 8 brothers and sisters. So that was a big family. There were 11 people in my original family. So I'm the youngest of 9 children. I'm the baby.
Live in USA?
Yeah, right. They lived in different places. I have one older brother who moved a lot, and he taught in China, and he taught in Taiwan and South Korea. But in general, they live in the United States.
Okay, what do you do on weekends or day off?
I always come to HBU.
HBU.
Yeah, really. I come here. I have a big office here. It's really nice.
Yeah.
So, and I love taking the train. The train's really beautiful from Sapporo to here.
Yeah.
So usually, even on my days off, I come here. Which is strange because when I lived in Taiwan, I never went to my office. Ever. I hated it, and I never went to school on my days off. But here it's really nice. I have a big, nice office, so it's quite comfortable. Also, in Japan, my house is really small. With my wife and kids there, it's kind of crowded. In Taiwan, the house was really big, so it was more convenient to stay home there. Anyway, I generally do the same things every day. I read a lot and listen to music a lot. This music here is, I brought that box of jazz CDs to play when we're sitting in here. I always like to hear music in the background.
Where is your office?
I'm in this building right here. I guess, I don't know. So I'm on the 2nd floor, way in the back. Yeah, so nobody ever goes to my office because it's 2nd floor, way in the back. So I guess from here it'd be 3rd floor.
I guess it's
3rd floor.
3rd floor.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Is it okay to go after the school?
Say what now?
Is it okay for us to go to your office?
I suppose if there's something you want to do or have some questions or something.
Sorry, do you have any pets?
Yes, this is another. All your questions are complicated questions. In Taiwan, a few years ago we got a dog,
Yeah.
and I got the job to come to Japan, and my family said you have to bring the dog. But we got here, and it's very difficult to find an apartment where you can take a dog. And the only one I found was a really small, old, ugly apartment, and so I didn't want to move there. The other places I couldn't take a dog. Also, my wife made some mistakes to bring a dog from Japan or from Taiwan into Japan. It's very complicated. It takes 6 months, and there's a lot of paperwork. And my wife started the paperwork too late, and then they had to move here. And also because of the COVID-19, they couldn't bring the dog, so our dog's in Taiwan. Yeah. It stays with my wife's parents, so the grandparents. But Taiwanese style of taking care of a dog is really different. They just let her run outside all the time. And a lot of people in Taiwan, even in the city, they let their dog just run around outside all the time. Now other people keep it in the house all the time and it never goes out. So there's kind of two extremes. But my dog now just runs around outside all over the place. And frankly, I think when it comes here, it will hate it in Japan, because in Japan you always have to keep the dog on the leash and it likes to run around. Also, it hates cold weather. My dog has very thin fur and it gets cold very easily. So it's not a good Hokkaido dog. Also, my dog is really scared of loud noises and machines, but it'll have to come on the airplane. So it's all problems. But my family, you have to get the dog. We have to get our dog here, you know. And my wife, oh, I miss my dog. And, so, yeah. So we're still trying to find a way to get it. But because of COVID, my wife will have to go back to Taiwan and get the dog and bring it here. It's too complicated now. So we're still waiting. So that's a long answer to your simple question about it.
And what's your favorite Japanese word?
Word?
Word.
I don't know. Do I have a favorite Japanese word? Maybe izakaya. I love izakaya. There's really one reason I wanted to move to Japan was to go to izakayas. I like the eating and drinking culture in Japan. Where I lived in Taiwan, it's interesting because they don't have that same type of style. People who drink usually drink at home. They don't drink outside much. So if you go to restaurants, generally people aren't drinking. And the Taiwanese style of eating food, the restaurant owner doesn't like to spend any money on the restaurant. So it'll be very plain. The chairs will be plastic. Very cheap tables. When you order the food, they bring it very quickly. And people eat and then they go, you know. So that's not the way I like to eat, you know. I like you order izakaya and they slowly bring out the food. You have the draft beer, namabiru, and chat. And so I like that much, much better.
So what's your favorite
Question?
Do you have a favorite Chinese word?
Chinese word? Oh, 吃饭.
Eating?
Nothing comes to mind, but I don't think that way about having a favorite word. There's a lot of things I really like in Chinese culture and in Taiwan, but no favorite word comes to mind right now.
Okay.
Difference between Taiwan and Chinese language?
Oh, Taiwanese language, and yeah, sure, the pronunciation's quite a bit different. I lived in the south in Taiwan, so actually my family's first language is not Mandarin Chinese. It's what we call Taiwanese, which is actually Hokkien.
Like Minnan
Ninanyu, it has a different name. They call Fujian, Hokkien, and like in Singapore, that's the language in other parts of China. So it's quite different. So the pronunciation has changed a lot, and the tones aren't as nice. Like Beijing Chinese is really beautiful sounding, but Taiwanese Chinese not so much. It's quite a different way of speaking, and a lot of people have more of the Taiwan accent. So it's quite different. Although of course the grammar and things are the same.
Thank you. So final, if you have any message for students, please give some message.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what students want to do. You know, in our department, the main focus is learning to improve English. And that's the thing students are having the biggest difficulty with, I think. And I think students need to find a way to learn English that they enjoy, a way that they can have fun learning English instead of memorizing vocabulary books or studying dictionaries or grammar. Students learn too much grammar in the Japanese school system, and it's a real problem. It's all grammar and no communication. And I think it should be opposite. I tell my students, don't worry about grammar, just communicate. Speak. If you speak bad, you make mistakes, that's okay. People will understand you. But if you just worry about grammar too much, everybody becomes frozen, and it's very difficult to get the words out. So to improve English, you just have to use English somehow. Try to watch English language TV shows that you like, but only with English, not with Japanese. If you like the news, try to read news in English. If you like Harry Potter, read Harry Potter in English, you know. So for the language side, that's my big advice, to try to get more English into daily life. I think that'll really help students a lot. Unfortunately, most Japanese students study English through Japanese. And even when they speak English, they think first in Japanese and then translate everything. It's not a very good system to become fluent. So anyway, more English. Yeah, that's my main message.
Thank you for using your time for our interview time.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And thank you, audience, for watching. Okay.